This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. That's 98.7 FM New York City. That's 710 ESPN LA. And, of course, ESPN Radio, Sirius XM style, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Got a jam-packed show coming your way today. Some news on the Cowboys you'll find interesting. Some pundits within the NFL, actually, speaking about the demise of Tom Brady. We'll get into that. Of course, the Colin Kaepernick story is percolating. Quotes from the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs you might find interesting. Quotes from John Harbaugh, coach of the Baltimore Ravens, you might find very interesting. And we'll be talking about Colin Kaepernick, not only whether or not he deserves a job in the NFL, but whether or not he'll actually find himself one before this NFL season begins in September. Again, the number to call up is 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. But there's two stories percolating right now, both on the basketball front, one out of New York, one out of L.A. Let's get to New York first. ESPN's very own Adrian Wojnarowski reported more than a week ago that Carmelo Anthony still expected the Knicks to carry out their previous plan to trade him to Houston. As I've reported, along with numerous others, the tradable commodity is supposed to be Ryan Anderson, who's still owed about $60 million on his contract. The New York Knicks do not want that, are not willing to accept it. And as a result, Carmelo Anthony, who has a no trade clause in his contract, basically meaning he gets to dictate whether he stays or go, could end up staying with the New York Knicks. Because Carmelo Anthony, according to Wojnarowski, wants to go to Houston. He doesn't want to go to Cleveland. And the New York Knicks are willing to trade him to Cleveland for Kyrie Irving. Here's my point, and it's important to say. Carmelo Anthony, with all due respect, what are you thinking? New York Knicks are not going anywhere. New York Knicks are not about to win anything. New York Knicks, even though I'm very, very happy Scott Perry is not a general manager, Steve Mills is now the president of basketball operations, the reality of the situation is the New York Knicks are a long way away from being a contender. They didn't draft Malik Monk, who landed in Charlotte with like the 11th pick. They didn't draft Dennis Smith Jr., who they should have drafted out of NC State. He ended up going number 9 overall to the Dallas Mavericks. They drafted some Frenchman, Tilakina, out of France, who none of us have seen, none of us know too much about. And it was Phil Jackson who picked him. Kid might have a promising future, but at this particular point and juncture, we simply do not know. And if you are Carmelo Anthony, my point is this. I totally and completely understand why Houston would be your preference. But if you can't go to Houston, why the hell would you stay in New York as opposed to going to Cleveland? That's just utter nonsense. It's absolutely, positively utter nonsense. You have an opportunity to play with LeBron James and compete with the Golden State Warriors for the NBA crown for 1 year. I know that Melo would be locked in for 2 years. And so that kind of scares him because if LeBron elects to leave, certainly Melo doesn't want to be stuck in Cleveland without LeBron. I can understand and appreciate that. I really, really can. But you can go there with a tacit agreement that this will be a one-and-done deal if LeBron leaves. And if that's the possibility, and you still couple that with being in position to compete for an NBA championship because LeBron James is your teammate, what the hell is the problem? If I'm the New York Knicks, I'm asking that question. If I'm the New York Knicks, I'm saying Melo. All of a sudden, you find you got me agreeing with Phil Jackson. It is time for him to go, which Melo told James Dolan, which he emphatically agrees with. And I can understand Melo having several choices, but just one doesn't work that way. Because what? There's only but so much Houston can do if we really, really want to think about it. I mean, what are we supposed to say? You're the Houston Rockets. You just traded Patrick Beverley. To get CP3, you gave away Patrick Beverley and Lou Williams and Sam Decker and a pick. That's what you did. What do you have to give now? You're Houston. You don't have much to give. You simply do not. And if you don't have much to give, committed to $102.8 million, what are you supposed to do? James Harden and Chris Paul are there. Ryan Anderson's making $19.5 million this year and $20 million next season. And $21 million a season after that. Eric Gordon doesn't need to go anywhere. You don't really care whether you have Trevor Ariza. Now, you can't let go of Melo for that. Or Tariq Black. Or Clint Capella. What are you supposed to do? If you are the New York Knicks, you are absolutely positively right to demand more. And if Houston can't give it to you, fine. But Cleveland can. So Melo, to his last breath, it appears, is going to hold up the Knicks' progress. And if that is what's happening, that's a damn shame. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. I'm going to tell you something that's not a shame. No matter how shameful people once thought he was, LaVar Ball, ladies and gentlemen, is the man. You can say what you want right now, at least until this season starts. LaVar Ball's the man. There's nothing we can really say to him right now. Did you hear about what happened last night in Las Vegas? NBA stars were courtside. This is reading from the ESPN article. NBA stars were courtside. Hall of Fame college coaches were sitting in the stands. 2 top 10 recruits were playing against one another. And yet the biggest attraction in Las Vegas on Wednesday night, on or off the strip, was LaVar Ball coaching at the Cashman Center. Gonzaga coach Mark Few told ESPN, it reminds me a little bit of LeBron games. Kansas coach Bill Self called it unreal. Never seen anything like it. Ball was coaching his big baller brand AAU team, led by his youngest son, #1 junior point guard LaMelo Ball, who, by the way, dropped 36 last night. 36. They were facing off in the Adidas Summer Championships against #2 senior Zion Williamson and his SC Supreme team. They estimated that between 3,000 and 4,000 people were at the game. Another 1,500 people were waiting outside, couldn't get in. Police officers and tournament officials discussed canceling the game due to crowd size. LeBron James was not allowed in the building. LeBron James was told not to come inside the building after originally planning to make an appearance. Damian Lillard, Andrew Wiggins, Jamal Murray, Thon Maker, Eric Gordon, and, of course, Lonzo Ball were all in attendance. They evidently got there early enough. All because LaVar Ball was coaching. My question to Laker fans is a simple one. Do you think this is a good thing or not? Because I got to tell you something right now. Once upon a time, I thought that LaVar Ball, if he opened his mouth and spoke against the Lakers or irritated Irvin Magic Johnson in any way, he would be fighting a losing battle. Boy, would he pay. Because Magic is magic. And you better not talk about the Lakers in a negative way against Magic Johnson, or you will pay. You ain't winning that popularity contest. But I got to confess to you, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I'm not so sure. I mean, if the Lakers are stinking up the joint or we don't like what Magic is doing in any way, and LeVar Ball speaks out about it, number one, who's not going to hear him? No one. Who's not going to listen to him? No one. And no matter what opinion you have about him, it's going to force a reaction. Especially since his son is balling. Because we all know this man is not going to sit idly by and watch his son receive something he may interpret as unfair criticism. He ain't going to sit idly by and let that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, things are very, very interesting in L.A. It's getting very, very interesting. 866-729-ESPN is always the number to call up. That's 866-729-3776. By the way, a little friendly reminder. Guess who's coming up midway through hour number one? It would happen to be cornerback extraordinaire for the Seattle Seahawks. His name is Richard Sherman, and he's live with us in just a few minutes. By the way, as you know, this is me, Stephen A. When it comes to our cars, one thing is almost certain. Something at some time is going to break down, and if your vehicle warranty is expired, one big repair can break your bank. There are auto protection plans out, but one stands alone. That's Toco Warranty. With Toco, you don't pay upfront fees for service you may never use. Toco makes protecting your car easy with their pay-as-you-go plan. Just pay a small amount each month and keep the protection plan for as long as you like. With Toco, there is no long-term contract, no upfront fees, and you can cancel at any time. So get peace of mind knowing you are protected with coverage plans on the engine, electrical, transmission, cooling system, drive axle, and more. Plus, enjoy the benefits of roadside assistance and paid rental car fees. Toco's special concierge service guides you through the entire process from sales to claims to customer service, all under one roof. So don't risk being grounded by auto repairs you cannot afford. See if you qualify for Toco at 800-211-2884. That's 800-211-2884. That's 800-211-2884. Your calls and more in a minute. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
See, what's getting me really riled up about this whole Carmelo Anthony story is that he's owed $54 million over the next 2 years, $26.2 million this year, $27.9 million next year after next season. But he has an opt-out. He's got a player option opt-out after this upcoming season. So if you're Carmelo Anthony, what you're really, really worried about is, all right, I get up and leave Cleveland, but I'm also forfeiting that $27.9 million. That's the same Carmelo Anthony that wouldn't want to sign for 3 years and be a free agent in 2010, where he would have been the one joining D. Wade and LeBron instead of Chris Bosh, because he wanted 5 years out of Denver because he wasn't trying to forfeit any guarantees. It's the same Carmelo Anthony that got $124 million from the Knicks just go round. It's like, come on. You're Carmelo. You averaging 24, 25 a game. You're going to get $27 million back, barring catastrophic injury. But my goodness, come on. Don't stay. Go. Compete for a championship. Been in the league since 2003, never played in the NBA Finals. Ever. Been in one conference final. Take your talents to Cleveland or Houston, whatever deal the Knicks can get, and go for that championship. Let Kyrie have New York. 866-729-ESPN. To the phones we go. Trucker B, talk to me. What's up?
My man, Stephen A. Boy, it's harder to get in touch with you than the president, man.
What's up, man? Well, guess what? I don't tweet as much as him. But go ahead.
Man, look, I was with you on when you was on Mad Dog. I've been trying to get in touch with you. I thought y'all put me in the black book or something, man.
Never,
I'm like, wow, I can't even get in touch with the man.
You in touch with me now, bro. You on the airways. Go ahead, bro.
That's what it is. Anyway, listen, I was listening to you the other night when you was on the basketball station. They asked you what job would you take in the NBA. You said the Knicks job. I would love to see you over there with the Knicks, but the only thing I say, Steve, you got a great job doing what you do. You get to run your mouth, which you love to do. You get to fraternize with everybody, which you love to do. and you got to deal with Dolan. You sure you want to do that? Boy, look here.
I didn't say I would Trucker B. I didn't say I would definitively want to do it. I said it's the one I would consider.
Okay, I got you. But if it was me, I would really have to consider that because, boy, you got the dream job, boy. You got the dream job. But down to business. Let's go Melo first, and then I want to do Braun, and I'm gonna get out of here because I know you got a lot of callers. Anyway, Melo, it's time to start anew, brother. I mean, I'm a diehard New Yorker. I'm a Knickerbocker to the end, just like you. And it's time to start anew. Let Kyrie do the swap. Let Kyrie come in, right? And go with your boy LeBron. At least try to get a ring, man. And you get a ring on the end of your career, that's great, man. You're going in the Hall of Fame. What more can you ask for? You got more money than you need. Don't hold those hostage. Let us go, brother. Let us go. And as far as LeBron go, LeBron is a crybaby, man. Great as he is, he's a crybaby. And I understand my boy Kyrie. And, you're not as great as LeBron, but dang it, he only 25. He just started. And what LeBron is doing, man, I think that's some real girlish stuff. But with that being said, Steven, I've been following you. I'm going to follow you. I don't give a damn where you go. You my mans in them. Love you forever. I'm gone.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Ray in Queens. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Ray. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good, man. Go ahead.
All right. Just wanted to say, man, I know everybody is big on Kyrie, man, but my thing is this, right, Steve? What are we looking for? Just the oohs and the ahs that we're going to get from Kyrie, or are we looking to get some wins in New York?
You want me to tell you, are you ready for me? You ready for my answer to that question, bro?
Yes, please.
I don't think neither. You know what you're looking for? Starting anew. Here's what I mean. Kyrie's a bad boy. He's a champion, and he's 25. So what I'm saying to you, let me ask you this question. When's the last time a champion been on the Knicks roster? We never think about that, Ray. But think about that question. Just take a deep breath and inhale what I just asked you. Because when you think hard about it, you're going to go like this. Damn, it's been a long time since a champion has been inside Madison Square Garden's locker room for 41 nights.
No, you absolutely right. But the only thing is with that is I don't trust the front office to put the pieces around him. Like they didn't do it for Melo.
But wait a minute, Ray. That ain't his problem. Then that means you don't want anybody.
No. I know that. I know that's not his problem, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand Melo needs to go, and everybody wants Kyrie. But Kyrie had Cleveland for 3 years by himself and couldn't average 40 wins.
But he was 21. He's 25 now, been to 3 straight NBA Finals. Averaging 27 along the way. Don't that count for something, Ray?
Yes, it does, Steve. But just answer me this, Steve. We all know why he got 3 straight finals, Steve.
Yeah. Listen, time out. We know why Pippen got 6 rings. Does that take away from the fact that he one of the 50 greatest ever?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Come on now. We know Drexler got a ring because of Olajuwon, don't we?
Yeah.
All right, don't it count that he was on the squad and was doing something?
Yeah, yes, he was. And Kyrie put in a lot of work, I must say. Yes, he did.
All I'm trying to say to you is that just because you ain't the king don't mean that you don't get to wear a crown. Kyrie a champion too. Let's show that man respect. Mitchell Projects, the Bronx, a homeboy at that. You know how crazy this city will go if Kyrie Irving gets to come to town? It's worth consideration. That's all I'm saying. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. I'll get back into more of this basketball talk about Kyrie, about New York, about LeVar Ball, about Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers. The list goes on, and the hits keep coming. LeVar Ball just stealing headlines every single day. We'll talk about all of that and then some, but not before I talk to my man Richard Sherman, cornerback extraordinaire for the Seattle Seahawks. He's up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
2 minutes past hour number 1. Back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. 866-729-ESPN is always the number to call up. It's 866-729-3776. Looking forward to having Richard Sherman on in just the next few minutes or so, doing some work with Body Armor. It's got a star-studded roster there. James Harden is included on their roster as well, along with some other folks. So definitely looking forward to talking to Richard Sherman whenever he's available. Listen, getting into some football stuff before Richard Sherman gets here. Colin Kaepernick is in the news because the Baltimore Ravens said to have talked to him. John Harbaugh, head coach for the Baltimore Ravens, said he's been talking to Colin Kaepernick throughout the summer or what have you. Joe Flacco is going to be injured and he's in jeopardy of not making the first week of the season or what have you. I don't think there's any question that somebody should pick up Colin Kaepernick, just like I said yesterday. Look, ladies and gentlemen, you may not have agreed with his stance. And I personally believe that he was a flaming hypocrite by talking about change, but then acknowledging to the world that he doesn't vote, because I consider voting the number one source for change that we have as American citizens. I think the election of our present president of the United States has proven just as much. People protested. They argued. They fought in the streets. They did a whole bunch of things while folks watched on the outside and simply said enough of this nonsense and went to the polls and voted for that man. Don't tell me that voting doesn't change things. It absolutely positively does. And so for me, when Colin Kaepernick said that, I didn't agree with it. But there's no question, having said all of that, he's being blackballed. There's no question when you hear the quotes from John Mara, the New York Giants owner, talking about he had never seen such venom and hostility, aimed towards him, via emails and letters to the New York Giants and what have you, if they would even consider Colin Kaepernick. Some dude named Dan Orlovsky. Give me a break. The bottom line is, like I said, I ain't going to get into all of this, but please know, yes, I do believe he's being blackballed, without question. It's a damn shame. I don't agree with everything, but that man deserves a job. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. On the line with us right now, my brother, one of the best cornerbacks in the game of football for the Seattle Seahawks, the one and only Richard Sherman. What's going on, big time? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. How are you?
Now, listen, let me confess to you, Rich. I'm a little jealous because after hanging out with you in L.A., I decided to get in the gym and try to get myself in shape. I know you're doing work with Body Armor. I need you to tell me how much that's helping you because, damn it, it ain't helping me. I'm trying to improve my stamina, Rich. It ain't working.
See, you need more than Body Armor to help your stamina. You need hard work and dedication. You just need to stay at it. That's what you need. But Body Armor, man, I've been working with them for years.
All right.
Obviously, it's the best drink, I think, to hydrate you, with all the coconut water and potassium that they have in it. They do a great job for me, and it's done a great job helping me, just helping my body recover. That's what you need. You need to work hard, and then Body Armor helps you recover.
I'm going to get on it, Richard Sherman. I'm going to get on it. Let's not forget about the electrolytes. That's very, very important. And obviously you, Mike Trout, along with Dustin Johnson, all of y'all are on the roster for Body Armor. So I appreciate you being out here, being on the phone with me right now. First of all, how's your summer going? What kind of season are you looking forward to this year for the Seattle Seahawks? What should we expect from y'all?
I'm looking forward to a great season. Obviously, health being a huge part of it and everybody staying healthy, but we're looking forward to a phenomenal season, making a long run, a deep run into the playoffs. Guys are feeling great about themselves, working hard and ready to get at it. We start up in a couple of days, obviously, so we're excited.
Richard, are we wrong in surmising that what we've seen from the Seattle Seahawks, just collectively as a unit, at least for the last year or two, it hasn't been the same mentally? That something, I don't know what it is, but that something appeared to be missing from you guys in terms of the mystique that you had a few years back when everybody recognized y'all as the Legion of Boom?
I think you guys are reaching a little bit. I think if you want to create that rhetoric about just about anything, could you create it about the Carolina Panthers? You probably could make that argument. If you said, Denver, what the offense did for them last year, could you make that argument? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You could make that argument about any great team, but we make the playoffs every year and won a playoff game. And, did we get banged up down the stretch? Yep, got banged up down the stretch. Did we lose an all-pro player and one of our great receivers in Tyler Lockett and Earl and, have the rest of our guys just fighting through?
Yep.
Yeah, does that hurt you when you're trying to win big ball games? I mean, it has an effect. So to say that we kind of, lost our mystique or changed somehow is kind of reaching. But, I mean, you can make up any story about it, if you wanted to.
I got you. Richard Sherman for the Seattle Seahawks right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Listen, we all know I'm on the record. Everybody should be on the record. We consider you one of the best cornerbacks of the game. Obviously, the cornerback position is incredibly, incredibly important. There's Richard Sherman, and then there's everybody else when it comes to, the rest of the guys on the team. Yet somehow, some way, your name was associated with trade rumors, after the season had expired. You didn't make much of it. You alluded to it being a business, and it was totally understood and all of that stuff. But I'm wondering, now that you've had an opportunity to reflect on it even more, knowing that your name was out there in terms of Richard Sherman possibly moving on, can you enlighten us as to what was going through your mind then compared to what's going through your mind now as you get set for this season?
Nothing has changed for me. I wasn't concerned at all about it then. I'm not concerned now. At the end of the day, you control the things you can control, and that's my effort and attitude every day I come to work, and that's really the only thing I concern myself with. If something happens, it happens. If it didn't, it didn't. It didn't seem like it was going to happen. It had very little chance of anything happening. So it wasn't anything that I really was concerned about, but it made for great news, I guess.
Are you still are one of the best cornerbacks in football in your mind? I know that sounds like a ridiculous question, but I just want confirmation.
It's a ridiculous question. So
I was going to ask it, though. I was going to ask. I wanted to hear Richard Sherman say I'm one of the best.
Yes, I am, man. If I don't go out there thinking I'm one of the best corners in this game and one of the best, hopefully to ever play this game, then there's no real reason for me to go out there. I don't see too many great players or Hall of Famers or anything like that going out there saying, man, I'm good, but I'm not quite as good as this other guy that's playing. Everybody goes out there and says, I'm the best doing this, and that's the confidence you walk on that field with. If you're not walking on that field with that kind of confidence, you in for a long day.
What's Earl Thomas been looking like, man? Or actually not what he's been looking like, but have you spoken to him? What's his attitude like? I know if he hadn't gotten hurt, I think that things would have been very, very special for y'all last year. What's his attitude like coming into this season?
Oh, he's on it, man. He's on it. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's working hard, man. I mean, he always works hard, but he's just in a grind mentality. I think he's gonna be the same guy, everybody's used to seeing, but he's playing like he got something to prove right now.
Your boy Marshawn Lynch, he's going to be with the Raiders this year. How much do y'all miss him, and what do you think he's going to do with the Raiders?
You miss him to some extent. He's a great teammate. He's a great player. You're always happy to have him on your team. You always feel great having him on your team. But at the same time, you're happy for him. He's playing for his hometown team, something I'm sure he's always dreamed about doing. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season for them. I think he'll have a career year. That'll be the best O-line that he's ever played behind. There were some games with us, even in his better years that he'd get hit 2 yards in the backfield, break 3 tackles, and make get a 15-yard gain, right. And everybody would be like, "Oh man, that was a great play." And this offense, he'll probably have 3-4 yards before he ever gets touched, and you give him 3-4 yards before he ever gets touched, and you're in for a very, very, very long day.
We're talking to Richard Sherman, the Seattle Seahawks, doing work with Body Armor, a premium sports drink with no artificial flavors or sweeteners, potassium-packed electrolytes, coconut water, and vitamins. Richard Sherman's right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Before I let you get on out of here, let me venture off the direct subject of football for just a brief second. Knowing how cerebral, how intelligent you are, reading the reports about the NFL and 99% of players tested, for CTE. Those reports came out just yesterday or so. What were the kind of things going through your mind when you heard about the association, the direct association between football players and CTE that came out just a couple of days ago?
honestly, you know what you sign up for when you play this game. You understand that almost from day one, and it's one of the unfortunate circumstances of playing this game. But all you can do as a player is try to play it the right way, keep your head out of it. You know, try to avoid head collisions and things like that. But sometimes it's an inevitability of the game. But honestly, that's why I'm one of those guys who's fighting for players to get the contracts they deserve and to get more financial security if they're going to sacrifice their bodies and minds in that way. You know, the least they could do is give their families financial security for a lifetime. You know what I mean? They're making a great sacrifice to provide for their families, and they should be rewarded for such.
But, Richard, you fighting for this. Do you think the folks that have the power to make change, do you think they're listening? Do you think they're hearing what you have to say? Do you think that you're going to be able to influence change in any way?
I do. Do I think they're listening? Do I think they care? I think they're listening to the degree that they believe I have impact. I think that the bigger impact is the fans. I think their greatest asset is the fans. And so when the argument starts and the debate starts about the collectively bargained for agreement, they're going to use the fans to separate the players, you know what I mean, to divide to get the players, you know, to pressure the players into coming back instead of the opposite way around. You know, you would think the fans would be with the players and support the players. You know, we go out there and put on the show. You put on the jerseys of the players. You don't put on the jersey that says, you know, Snyder or Rudy or anything like that. You put on a player's jersey. And you would hope that they could side with players who are going out there and sacrificing their minds and their bodies. But a lot of times they side with the team, which is the owner. And so that's the thing we're fighting most against.
Man, it's always good to talk to you. My partner for Alberto Beef Jerky. Now, doing work with Under Armour, but with Body Armor as well. Really appreciate your time, but good luck this year, and I'm sure I'll run into you before the season or actually once the season begins, my man. I'll see you down the road, okay?
Thank you. Look forward to being on here again. All
right, my man. Take it easy. The one and only Richard Sherman for the Seattle Seahawks, one of the best corners in the game, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, you know, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
And Richard Sherman coming on the show with us, doing good work with Body Armor. Blessed us with his presence. Always good to talk to him for just a little bit. Number to call up as always is 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. He's right to bring attention to the needs for NFL players to be taken care of. I mean, it's outside of boxing, it's the most violent sport going in America. And the thing that really resonates with me, boxing really has no player representation, no fighter representation, no fighters union. And when people look at the NFLPA, they question how strong the union is because of the kind of deals they end up capitulating to. I mean, who signs a 10-year deal in this day and age like the NFL players did? Course certainty and all of that stuff that comes with the NFL is good for the league, good for the game, but how much has it really, really worked for the players? Think about that. Think about that. And that's the kind of game, your career could be over in one play. One play. That's how it goes, doesn't it? Back to the phones we go at 866-729-3776. Otis, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Mr. Stephen A. Smith, I've been trying to talk to you for a long time.
Well, you got me now. What's up, bro?
I got the utmost respect for you, except for I have a long-time disagreement with you when you talk about Michael Jordan and you talk about his flawless championship campaigns.
His flawless championship resume. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. But you neglected to speak of the losses, the playoff losses, not counting the Orlando one. That don't count. But the ones against the Pistons, all of those count. But that's an argument for another.
Hold on. How can you say that? First of all, I speak of his flawless championship resume because in the NBA Finals he's never lost. He lost before. Hold on. He lost before then, and you are absolutely positively inaccurate when you say I never bring that up because you know my man is Isaiah Thomas, who never will let me or anyone else forget that he was beating Jordan those years. So that is entirely inaccurate. Not to mention Jordan's my man as well, and Jordan gets on me for bringing up that he used to lose to Detroit. So what Stephen A. Smith show are you listening to?
Well, you never bring up the losses in comparison.
Time out. I'm gonna tell you why that is, Otis. I get where you're coming from. You know why you think that is? Because we're usually talking about the LeBrons of the world and explaining why we don't consider him the GOAT. Well, and so he has 5 finals losses and MJ has 0.
With that being said, I do agree with you that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I do agree with you. However, LeBron never played with a player good as Pippen. That team he had, if you notice, he won the championship after the ascension of Pippen. He was good as he ever was during all those playoff losses. But I agree with you that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. To Carmelo.
Hold on. I got to interrupt you, Otis, because we're running out of time with a hard break. I need you to call back in hour number 2, and I promise to put you on because I interrupted you several times, and because of that, I held up your point. So I know that's not fair to you. So do me a favor, call back in a few minutes, and I'll put you back on to finish your point, bro. My apologies. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Getting into more Colin Kaepernick in hour number 2, more LeVar Ball in hour number 2, and then some. Stick around. It's Stephen A. Hour number 2 up next.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Let me get back to Colin Kaepernick in this sense. I'm bringing up this subject, ladies and gentlemen, because it's incredibly important. I understand that he rubbed people the wrong way because he refused to stand for the national anthem. I understand that in my eyes, he came across as a flaming hypocrite because in the same breath that he's talking about how change needs to take place, he also announced to the world that he was an active participant in not creating change because he refused to vote. All of those things are true, but it does not negate the fact that this man is being blackballed, that it is grotesquely unfair, and that if this man doesn't get a job in the NFL soon, there's a price, at least PR-wise, that the National Football League needs to pay for this. Roger Goodell was on the record. He's not being blackballed. John Harbaugh insulted the masses by saying, no way Colin Kaepernick is being blackballed. So, John Harbaugh, why don't you bring him on your roster? You trying to tell me that Colin Kaepernick isn't qualified to be a backup quarterback in the NFL, but some dude named Dan Orlovsky is? Really? And see, this is one of the problems that these owners and other folks are going to have to get accustomed to. See, y'all want to avoid race. Y'all want to avoid the importance of the subject of race and the topic of race and the discussions that come along with it. But in the same breath, you don't want to do anything about it when it's flagrantly an issue. When John Mara for the New York Giants comes out and talks about how he has never seen the level of venom through emails and letters and beyond about a particular issue involving a particular player. Well, let's take that into consideration. This man was the owner of the New York Giants when Lawrence Taylor was doing everything under the sun. Drugs, prostitution, Lord knows what else. But he was a superstar. He played for you. You never had anybody talking about, damn it, he's a problem? You never had any of these guys in the NFL with all of these transgressions? Michael Vick served 18 months in Leavenworth Penitentiary. But before he went to jail, hanging and maiming and torturing dogs. You never saw any letters? You never heard of any letters about him? But because Colin Kaepernick refuses to stand up for the flag, not interrupting the game, not refusing to play in the game, not impeding anybody's ability to watch the game, he just took a stance to bring attention to violence perpetrated against minorities in this country. You trying to tell me that nobody can find it in their heart to bring him on their roster? We're going to justify that mode of thinking? Is that what we're going to do? Seriously? Let me tell y'all something. Somebody needs to stand up. You can't have this. It's not right. I'm telling you right now, it's just not right. And somebody needs to say something about it. You can't let something like this fly. Back, we saw quotes from Kansas City Chiefs owner Mr. Hunt talking about he'd have no problem with Colin Kaepernick or Andy Reid or anybody else bringing a guy to his squad that, would help the team win games and perform positively on the field. He said, however, our situation, we got Alex Smith, who battled with Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco for the job, so it would be a bit odd. We're not going to bring him here, but I wouldn't have a problem with him coming here if he was going to make our team better. But you got to remember, back in November, some players, led by Kaepernick, have taken a knee during the anthem, while Chiefs second-year cornerback Marcus Peters raised his fist during the anthem prior to the home opener against the San Diego Chargers on September 11th. Remember that? And what did Mr. Hunt, the owner for the Kansas City Chiefs, say at that particular moment in time? Quote, I won't address Marcus specifically, but let me say, I do think the right thing is for all the players and coaches on the sideline to stand during the national anthem and pay the respect that our flag and the people who have given their life for it to deserve. At the same time, I understand we have players who are concerned about racial relations in this country, which is a very important subject. I just don't believe that the national anthem is really the right place to voice your displeasure with that. That was what he said back in November. So you don't agree with it, but you understand the racial relations that have been taking place in this country. You can't justify doing this to Colin Kaepernick. Oh, so we've gotten to the point where we're willing to hire scrubs and people who are clearly inferior as talent? It's not a meritocracy anymore, which is what we brag about the world of sports being all about. And nobody's got to say, nobody has anything to say? Nothing? Absolutely nothing? Colin Kaepernick went 1-10 as a starter. Couldn't complete 60% of his passes to save his life. Damn it, I don't think he's that great anymore. And if you're telling me he wants to be a starter worthy of $15 to $20 million a year, hell no. But a backup quarterback's position? He can't even get that? Really? And the Dan Orlovskis in the world? Matter of fact, Nuno, could you do me a favor, please? Compile me a list of all the backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Let me read the list of backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Individuals who don't start for teams but have jobs in the NFL at the expense of the Colin Kaepernicks. And then answer the question, is that justice? Is that justice? I'm no huge fan of Colin Kaepernick. I think he's a tremendous athlete who can run with the football. I don't trust him to throw the football with any degree of accuracy to save his life. But he don't deserve this. This is wrong. And you know what's really, really wrong about it more than anything else? the NFL, which is the number one league in America, which generates in excess of 14 to 18 billion annually, who rides the coattails and the backs of African-American athletes, above 65% of them in this league, is basically using Colin Kaepernick as a symbol to say, y'all better control yourselves and shut the hell up now, or else. That's what it appears the NFL is doing. That's the shame in it all. I said it before. I'll say it again. He had a right to kneel if he wanted to. I don't agree with him. I wouldn't have done it, but he had the right. But I lost all faith in him, and I called him a flaming hypocrite when he announced to the world that he didn't vote. Because especially if you're a minority in this nation, voting should be of paramount importance to you. Especially as far as I'm concerned with the presidential election, even though there are lesser elections that a lot of us don't participate in because we need to take it more seriously than we do, myself included. But even with all of that said, he don't deserve to be without a job because of it. And by denying him that opportunity, you're not just being upset at Colin Kaepernick if you're an owner, you're an executive. You're not just capitulating to the wishes of the viewing and paying public. You're ignoring millions who supported Colin Kaepernick. And you've turned it into a black-white issue. Because there ain't no black people out there advocating Colin Kaepernick be blackballed. So if you're wondering why race enters the equation, this is how it happens. Because we allow that to usurp and overrule and override our ultimate barriers of fairness. There's plenty of players you don't like. That don't mean they don't deserve a job. There's plenty of players who do stuff you don't like. That don't mean they don't deserve a job. Colin Kaepernick doesn't deserve this. Somebody needs to help him get a job quick. Because if I see another scrub getting brought onto a squad in favor of Colin Kaepernick, I don't want to hear from Commissioner Roger Goodell or Ravens coach John Harbaugh anymore about he not being blackballed. It's clear. It's absolutely clear. 866-729-ESPN. More of your calls in a minute with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Back to the phones we go. Otis, you're live on the line. You there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for bringing me back on. I'm going to make 3 quick points and let you on.
Go ahead, real quick. Go ahead.
What? Carmelo going to Cleveland may not be good enough to beat Golden State. So maybe Carmelo being friends with LeBron, maybe he goes to Houston, hopes for LeBron James to join his boy Chris Paul and him on Houston next year. 2, Kyrie, previous caller, I took exception to what he said about LeBron making acting girly. Kyrie is kind of acting girly. He should be professional. He has the right. He has the chance.
What did Kyrie do? What did Kyrie do other than say, "I want to get traded"? We haven't heard a word from Kyrie ever. What did he say other than he wants to get traded?
There's nothing wrong with him pursuing his happiness. I'm just saying he's under contract. He had the opportunity. He has the opportunity to be the man, even on the team that he's on. If he had played, matter of fact, he didn't play all that well in the finals this past year. He should just wait till it. He's in a position of power.
Okay, what's your third point?
He's in a position of power now.
What's your third point, Otis?
Third point was I'd be remiss not to speak on it since you brought it up, the Colin Kaepernick situation. I'm a black man myself. people often misuse the word racism. They mix it up with bigotry. So to be a racist, you have to believe that you're superior by virtue of race and actually be doing something to perpetuate that.
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. Go ahead.
And this clearly is they colluded against T.O. This is racism at its purest.
Okay. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Let's go to Ethan. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Ethan?
Hey, Stephen A. I love hearing you on First Take, rattling on my Cowboys. It's always funny hearing you talk about them.
So you're a Cowboy fan. You're a Cowboy fan.
Yes, but I'm not. I'm okay.
Go ahead.
2 quick points and then a question. One for Lucky Whitehead, how you talked about yesterday, that the Cowboys are being insensitive. I totally agree with you in that they should re-sign him to the team or at least apologize because that was pretty rude. The second point that I wanted to make for Colin Kaepernick, I don't know if you heard, but Joe Flacco, he has a back injury.
Yes, that's how I reported that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that Colin Kaepernick, this could be a blessing for him because then he could go and start for a couple weeks. And if Baltimore likes him there, then how they run their offense with him, then he could be a nice backup in case Flacco gets hurt again. And then my question is, what teams do you think are on the rise going into the playoff picture for both conferences, and what teams do you think will stay in the playoff picture going into the season?
Going into the NFL, I appreciate the call, man. Going into the NFL season, listen, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Raiders, I definitely think that they will all be in the playoff picture. I think that Denver will resurrect itself. They'll be back in the postseason this year. I'm not sold on Kansas City because of Alex Smith. I'm just not sold on him, even though I love me some Andy Reid, and I'm going to have confidence that they can do some things. The team that I think Houston will be back in the playoffs as well. Denver wasn't there last year. I think they'll be back. I think Houston with Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson's going to be starting by midway through the first season, if not earlier. And I think he's going to do some damage. Listen, can't get much worse than Brock Osweiler. Okay? So I just think that Houston's a team that we need to watch out for. As much as I love me some Andrew Luck, I don't love Indianapolis' defense. I'm glad Gregson is gone. In the NFC, I think Carolina will be back in the picture. I think that Atlanta should be the favorites to come out of the NFC. Dallas, obviously, is formidable, and I can't ignore what they bring to the table with their offensive line, even though they better take care of Zach Martin. But with Ezekiel Elliott, the distractions, Dak Prescott, all of this stuff, I think that Dallas has the intestinal fortitude to work it through. I think the Giants will be back in the mix as well. Of course, I'm picking Green Bay to win the NFC North because Aaron Rodgers is the greatest talent at quarterback I have ever seen in NFL history. There has been no quarterback in the history of the NFL that can do all the things he can do from the quarterback position. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not saying that he's better than the Bradys or the Montanas because they have the Super Bowl rings, and I understand that. But I think that Aaron Rodgers has lost because of the Green Bay Packers, not because of Aaron Rodgers. Not because of Aaron Rodgers. I think if Aaron Rodgers had a defense, Aaron Rodgers would be a 3-time Super Bowl champion right now because he's that great. That's what I believe. And I think Seattle's going to win the NFC West. I just think that Carolina's going to be back in the mix. I think that that the Giants are going to get the wild card spot with that offense. I think Washington and Philadelphia is going to be on the outside looking in. And the team that I would tell you is asleep on the come up is Tampa Bay because you acquired Deshaun Jackson. You still got Mike Evans. You drafted O.J. Howard out of Alabama, that tight end. And, of course, you still got Doug Martin in the backfield. And I think that Jameis Winston is a winner. So I just think that that's the sleeper team to watch out for. It would be Tampa. That's just me. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. More of your calls in a minute. This is Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
Back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. By the way, one of the things that I reiterated earlier that's important to reiterate yet again, It's a lot of stuff going on in L.A., always a lot of things going on in L.A. Yesterday I talked about how the Los Angeles Dodgers might win it all. Remember, they haven't won a title since 1988, World Series since 1988. I'm sitting here predicting the Cubs are going to win it before the season began. But the Dodgers, my goodness, Kershaw going down with his back, I actually think that's a good thing as long as he ends up okay. You're talking about Kershaw getting some rest and him being rested. Imagine if he's ready to go full throttle for the postseason. As far as I'm concerned, that's at least 2 victories in a series. Because I think when he loses in the postseason throughout his history, it's because of fatigue more so than anything else. It's not because he chokes. The man is special. He's the best in the game. But getting back to the basketball side of things in L.A., LaVar Ball, let me tell you something. There's a little bit of pressure on the Los Angeles Lakers because if they don't win and they look ugly and anybody starts pointing negatively at Lonzo Ball, you know his father's going to speak up for him. You know you can't help him. The man can't help it. And say what you will, but he has done a magnificent marketing job as it pertains to his son. The son was the reason we were watching the summer leagues. The son was the reason we just gravitated to that. And Magic Johnson, don't tell me Magic Johnson is at a summer league game talking about the Lakers are back if Lonzo Ball wasn't such an attractive commodity. We all know otherwise. Stay tuned, y'all. Stay tuned. Back to the phones we go. Henry in Long Island, you're live with Stephen A. Good afternoon, Henry. Good morning. Henry, are you there? Henry. Sorry, Henry. Let's go to RJ in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I thought your Colin Kaepernick point was really eloquently put. Not to mention, man, I'm a huge Raiders fan. And if you're telling me that Colin Kaepernick's not a better option than Matt McGloin, you must be fundamentally insane. Secondly,
well, you know what? McGloin gets some love from some people, though. He really does. I mean, he gets some love. I don't know if that's the right example to use.
You know what? He's kind of got an arm, and he's a good team man. Oh, my gosh, he's sick. You know what? No, he don't. Not from this Raider fan, he doesn't.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fair. You said from this Raider fan, that's fair. Because you ain't trying to hear that. I can understand. I can respect that. Go ahead.
You know what? I got to tell you something about Kyrie, man. I started following you. I think you're very gravitating, especially you. You followed my favorite NBA player of all time, and Allen Iverson, and I'm a huge Lakers fan. Mm-hmm. Just that AI, I think, is the most underrated professional athlete ever in sports. I might be crazy, and people might think I'm crazy, and people have told me I'm crazy. That man was so talented and so gifted. The fact he got them to the finals and won a game against a Shaq and Kobe duo that was just an unstoppable force. Mm-hmm. If you're telling me that Kyrie could do that on that same team or on any team, if he wants to be the feature cat, there is no way that man even touches the ground without LeBron James. And, LeBron took Mo Williams and Delonte West to the finals.
Well, hold on. Let's stop something. People are getting this confused. No one, including Kyrie, is comparing themselves to LeBron James. LeBron James is the greatest player in the world. We all know that. Plus, he's a physical freak of nature at 6'9", 260. And remember, before the finals arrived, did you see how he was destroying everyone? Indiana, Toronto, Boston, spinning in the lane and shooting lefties, toying with people. Did you see that from LeBron James? Did you see him average a triple-double in the finals? I mean, we all know about his man's greatness. Nobody's comparing Kyrie to LeBron. What you're saying is, if you're Kyrie, there are 30 teams in the NBA, 29 other teams. I can be a franchise player for one of them because it's really not about comparing yourself to LeBron. It's about stepping out of LeBron's shadow to remind the world that you might deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as a Russell Westbrook, a Steph Curry, a James Harden, a Chris Paul, and guys like that. That might be what Kyrie is saying more than anything else.
No, and I agree with you. I think you want to step into the limelight. I'm just saying, if you're a team, do you view him like an Allen Iverson? Does he have that kind of gift? Even have Russ West's gift.
We don't know, but here's my point to you, RJ. He believes he does. And when I see a guy like Kyrie Irving doing the kind of things that he's done, I'm saying, wait a minute, how can I summarily sneeze at that? You see what I'm saying? I mean, Kyrie,
I feel you.
We're talking about Kyrie Irving like he's just some average player. He's not. Listen. Kyrie Irving, think about this for a second. Do you know that Kyrie Irving only played 17 games in high school, in college at Duke? It was either 17 or 11. I don't remember because I knew he got hurt. It was 11 games, okay? He played 11 games. He's been in the league. His first year in the league, he averaged 18 and a half. The next 3 years, he averaged 22, 20, and 21. Now, they weren't winning those first 3 years. The last 3 years, 21.7 points, played 75 games. Only played 53 games in 2015, 2016, because remember, he got hurt, right? Right, RJ?
Yeah, I agree.
He averaged 19.6 a game. He averaged 25.2 points per game this year. Do you know that the 3 years that he has played in Cleveland with LeBron, he shot 46, 44, and 47% from the field. This year, and in the first year that LeBron arrived there, he shot 41% from three-point range. When has Allen Iverson done that?
Oh, I mean, I'm not denying his gift. You are absolutely right. I'm just saying, just tell me, if you can tell me this straight up, Steven. If he goes to the Detroit Pistons right now, right? Let's say you've got your existing roster and you add a guy like a Kyrie Irving. Do they make it to the second round of the Eastern Conference?
If he did what? If you add him to the Pistons, straight up, the Detroit Pistons, their current roster, you add a Kyrie Irving, do they make it to the second round of the Eastern Conference? Depends on who they're going against. I mean, can you definitively say they wouldn't beat Washington? Can you definitively say they couldn't beat Toronto?
Oh, no. They won't. Washington will floor wipe them.
No, I disagree.
I think Toronto was an aberration last year.
Whoa, RJ. I love John Wall. And Bradley Beal is no joke either. Who else can
he's
you?
Legit. He's a big time.
Time. Who else can you definitively rely upon in Washington?
I think Gortat is special. I think he's friendly with it.
Did you just say Gortat special?
I think he's friendly. I didn't say he was special. I think he's friendly.
He's okay. Come on now. I asked you who else, and you gave me Martin Gortat?
Yeah, he's friendly.
Come on, RJ.
Homie.
RJ, stop that. RJ, come on now. I mean, I like Gortat, but come on.
Toronto will beat him, too. And I think
Hold on. Whoa. That's not my question. I said, are you sure? I know they could lose to those teams. I get that. I said, are you sure? Damien, let me ask you a question. Did you see John Wall struggle in Game 7 in the second half?
Oh, I think John Wall was exhausted. You got to admit it, Steve.
No. Listen, I'm not questioning anything about John Wall's game because he's big time. But I am saying to you this. The ball was in his hands for a Game 7. And exhaustion or not, he didn't have it. Scott Brooks didn't have it. You decide not to sit up there and play that kid out of Kansas who was one of your premier defensive players.
Yeah, you know what? That Game 7 was that whole thing. Someone's got to question him on his coaching.
All I'm trying to say to you is that to answer your question directly, and I got to go, but to answer your question directly, would they make it to the second round in Detroit with Kyrie Irving? I'm saying depends on who they're playing because you don't know. Appreciate the call. Vinny in Staten Island, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
What's going on, Steve? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for calling. What's up?
Nothing much, brother. Real quick about LeBron. Real quick. I think if it wasn't for LeBron, I mean, Kyrie is a special talent, right? But I think LeBron put him in the situation to be able to be the way he's being talked about. I truly believe is because of LeBron. LeBron's great. The reason he's shooting such high percentages is because of how LeBron spreads the floor, and you got shooters you got to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Kyrie's special, but I think LeBron made him the way he's being talked about because he had his chance with that team. You know, he was the guy.
Can I throw this out there? We used to say the same thing about Scottie Pippen with Jordan.
Right.
And we all know that Scottie Pippen was not Michael Jordan. Just because you're not the greatest doesn't mean you ain't great. If you remember when Jordan retired, if it wasn't for that bogus call in favor of my New York Knicks against Hugh Hollins, the Bulls might have won a championship that year without Jordan.
100%.
So what I'm saying to you is you just can't act like just because somebody isn't as great as the greatest doesn't mean they're not great enough. We don't know. Kyrie's trying to find out. What's wrong with that?
You know what? I agree. And to me, Kyrie is probably I don't want to say the best shooter, but he's top 5 all-time point guards at finishing at the rim. Hands down, no question. And I think he's the best scoring point guard. Not shooting, but getting to the rim and scoring. Him and Westbrook at getting to the rim.
Listen, you're dissecting the game. I'm just saying to you from an impact perspective, Kyrie Irving is a baller. He's universally respected as one of the great players in today's game by the entire basketball world. This dude is from Mitchell Projects. I'm sorry, his daddy is from Mitchell Projects in the Bronx. They are loved by New Yorkers and folks in New Jersey. And we talking about this man like chopped liver just because we're talking about LeBron. He does not compare to LeBron. Who the hell does other than Kevin Durant? Nobody. That's why I was so ticked about Kevin Durant going to Golden State. It wasn't an insult to him. It was acknowledging the man is one of the top 2 players on the planet. And you were 48 minutes away from a berth to the NBA Finals and you're losing. You go join a team that beat you? What, you win a championship last year and go to State, you won a cookie? We all knew you were going to win since last July 4th. That was the problem. All the suspense was gone because we knew what the outcome was going to be because you're that great. That is not an insult. It's just a damn shame. 866-729-ESPN. Your calls to close out the show in a minute. It's Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Back to the phones before we get on out of here for the day. Let's go to Michael in Brooklyn. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Mike. What's up?
What's going on, my brother Mike? Stephen A. First of all, I'd like to say you're Mr. Icon in Brooklyn. We respect and we love you, an idol to all of us over here.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay, I got a quick question. If Kyrie leaves, I'm a Lakers fan, and LeBron comes to the Lakers, I hope you don't think he's going to be doing the same thing he did to Kyrie with Lonzo Ball, because there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Lonzo Ball.
So you're saying you're saying if LeBron came to L.A. next year,
yes, sir,
that you hope he doesn't do whatever it appears he's doing with Kyrie Irving because there's a new sheriff in town, and that's Lonzo Ball?
It's Lonzo Ball, and it's a big ball.
Michael, can I tell you why you're wrong?
Talk to me, Stephen A.
Because you don't know yet, because he hasn't played an NBA game. You're talking about somebody who's been to 8 finals, 7 consecutive finals, is a 3-time NBA champion, a 4-time league MVP, still universally recognized as the greatest basketball player on the planet. And you're trying to tell me that the new sheriff in town is a rookie who's got the ugliest jump shot in the NBA at this moment, hasn't played an NBA game yet, and you don't even know how good he's going to be. How can you say that and be so dismissive of LeBron James?
He hasn't played an NBA game yet, but don't forget, when you refer to Lonzo Ball, refer to him as Mr. MVP of the Summer League.
Goodbye, man. Goodbye. I can't listen to that, ladies and gentlemen. I can't. I just can't. I'm sorry I had to hang up on him. I'm giving him a 3-time champion and a 4-time league MVP, and he brings up a dude that's the MVP of the Summer League. I can't. You can't talk sensibly to somebody like that. I just can't do it. Dan, and you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up?
Hi, Stephen A. Before I say anything, I just want to say I'm sorry to hear about your mom. It was too bad. And now I'll get to my point. What do you think about, I know being a Knicks fan, you like to see Kyrie with the Knicks and Carmelo. That would be something, for you. And what do you think on the Rockets?
Well, Kyrie wouldn't be here with Melo. Kyrie would be here in place of Melo.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Melo with the Cavs and, yeah.
Well, I want to see Melo with LeBron. I want to see Carmelo Anthony in a legitimate championship round because I think you'd see something special from Carmelo Anthony because I think he's that kind of a sniper. I really, really do. I would love to see Melo in that particular kind of situation, but I don't know what's going to happen. Appreciate the call. Mustafa, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
I'm doing good, brother. Kyrie and KP, that'd be a dominant combination. They'd be a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, my prediction. But what do you think of this John Jones fight coming up on Saturday?
Man, I'm not betting against John Jones, but I'm a fan. Listen, I'm a huge fan of John Jones. I know he's had some troubles. God bless him. I wish him nothing but the best. I love the guy as a person and as a fighter. I've come to meet him on several occasions. I'm a huge, big-time John Bones Jones fan. Here's my problem. Daniel Cormier, I'm a fan of his as well. I think he does a great job, by the way, on Fox. Doing pre-fight, post-fight coverage of these events. A, yeah. But B, he's a champion at the light heavyweight division in his own right. And you know what else I like about Daniel Cormier? Because I think he's class personified and he's a great fighter in his own right, big-time wrestling, stuff like that. I will always hold a special level of regard for him for how he conducted himself when John Bones Jones got himself suspended. John Bones Jones beat him. Then they had the rematch coming up, talked about him like straight garbage, did everything under the sun to insult him. And Daniel Cormier learns that this guy got suspended because of the failed drug test or whatever it was. He could have eviscerated him. He could have went off on him. He could have really kicked John Bones Jones while he was down. He never did it. It was like his humanity came in the focus, Mustafa, and he remembered the guy's a human being and he must really have some kind of a problem. And he was incredibly compassionate. And the compassion that he showed with John Bones Jones really resonated with me because he didn't have to do that based on the way they were treating each other leading up to their first fight and even in the aftermath of it.
I'm rooting for Cormier, definitely, but if I had to be a betting man, I'm going for John.
I'm never going to bet against John Bones Jones as a fighter. In a fight, I'm not betting against him against anybody on the planet. I just think he's a flat-out winner. And I think those are just God-given abilities. He is something special. And I hope that he stays on the straight and narrow because he's great for the sport and he's great for all sports when he's on top of his game. I just want him to make sure he has his life in order. I'm a huge, huge John Bones Jones fan, but I love Daniel Cormier as well. It's one of those fights I think John Bones Jones will win. I think he'll win by decision, unanimously. I don't think he'll get him to submit or knock him out. But I'm hopeful that both put forth a good performance because I don't root against Daniel Cormier because I'm a huge fan of his. But I don't love any of them more than I love John Bones Jones. Got to get on out of here. I'll be back in 22 hours from now. It's Stephen A. signing off. Peace and love, y'all. Till tomorrow.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.